This is the L67 with the supercharger, and it's mostly in Pontiac GTPs and Buick LeSabres and Park Avenues. This came in only in front-wheel drive vehicles, which is kind of odd to me. You would have thought that they'd have put this in the Camaro, and then just had the regular 3.8 in the luxury cars. I don't get that. So I thought I'd do a short video today on the anatomy of a fuel rail. If you're new to automotive mechanics or want to get into this, this is a short tutorial on how your engine gets fuel in a modern fuel-injected car that does not have a carburetor. So this one is got quick disconnects right here that go to the fuel pump that is in the gas tank. These are the plastic lines that will go back to your fuel tank. This is a supply and return line, so the fuel circulates and doesn't build up pressure all in one place. This is where your fuel pressure regulator sits, and that's what I've got out right here, is the fuel pressure regulator. This is what it looks like. It's got a couple of O-rings, one here, and those just sit right down in there. And I have taken this out just basically to clean it up and check the O-rings, make sure they're okay. Comes out with a C-clip, and that's the only thing that holds it in. You don't have to have any special type of C-clip pliers, as demonstrated by me with these cheesy C-clip pliers, which are not high dollar in any way, shape, or form, but they work just fine. And if I were to use these more often, have more of an instance to use these, I'd buy a proper pair. I don't even know where I got those, honestly. But that's it. That is installation. Removal is just the opposite, to change out your fuel pressure regulator, which interestingly enough says made in Germany. I'm surprised. So your fuel injectors plug in right here. They have an O-ring that sits up in here, and your fuel just goes in here, fills this whole thing, and distributes the fuel. It's really what it is, a fuel distribution setup. These are your quick disconnect lines. They come off fairly easily. This is just a piece that locks it in place, but you gotta have a removal tool, quick disconnect removal tool, in order to get these off. So how this works is you get this is two different sizes. Find the one that fits appropriately, slide it in, and this slides right off. See that? That's all it is. Sometimes these leak and they have O-rings inside that you can replace. I'm not sure how easy that is to do. I've never had to replace those. This one is the smaller of the two sizes. This must be the return line. And it just comes off that easy. The only other component you've got on here is your Schrader valve. This is handy for releasing fuel pressure if you've got the car turned off and you want to relieve the fuel pressure. You can do it here, although depending on how long your car's been sitting, it might spray out a lot. So you want to have a rag or something handy to catch that, and or just wait for the fuel to bleed off And then also you can hook up a fuel pressure gauge here to make sure you've got the proper fuel pressure. So if you find yourself working on one of these little 3800 3.8s with the supercharger, this is how the fuel rail goes on. It's just 4 nuts, and each one of these little cups goes over a fuel injector, and that's about it. These engines are about as simple as you can get for a modern day engine. Very simple. Get everything lined up, put your nuts on, and tighten it down. As far as I know, there's not any real gotchas or things to watch out for when doing this. Just make sure you get all of your fuel injectors into their respective cups there. This bolt here has to line up as well. Having a little bit of trouble with that. They've got this funny plastic nut, fits right over that. This is good for getting everything started in the right direction. It's also good to have a magnet, just because you can get bolts out. Now you probably won't have the luxury of working on this out of the car. So in the car, keep in mind there's some little places down here that nuts, bolts, water, debris, anything can fit down in there. Just have something handy to get those out. These are just 10mm bolts that go on the fuel rail mounting tabs. Again, probably not the easiest job to do in the car, but it's not horrible, and if you have to change the fuel pressure regulator, it's right there. So if a shop tells you it's going to take them 6 or 7 hours to do this, go find another shop, because I suspect 4 or 5 hours of that is going to be waiting for them to get to your car. And that is a fuel rail installed on a 3.8 liter V6 GM.